Today we will share with you 4 tips on planning a funeral for your baby.
Hi, we are Tony
and Jeff Brabeck,
the founders of Our Little Sparrows Pregnancy and Infant Loss Support. If you would like to know more about us and our organization, please click the link in the description below. Welcome to our grief series, The Pregnancy Journey, a guide to grieving from diagnosis to the loss of your baby and beyond.
So with a funeral, just like with planning a memorial service or celebration of life, this is one thing that nobody wants to be planning, especially when it's your own baby. This is very hard. So with having a burial after the funeral, time is definitely going to be a factor, as the funeral service typically needs to happen within a week or so after the death. So time-wise, there is definitely less flexibility to make arrangements, as well as ensure all families that want to make the funeral service can actually make it out there in time. So with that can bring a lot of stress on top of dealing with grief already. So we do have 4 tips for you guys today in helping you plan the funeral service for your baby that you want. So the first tip we would just say grace. So this is extremely hard in most, if not all cases. So whether you plan a funeral or a memorial service, it's going to be hard. You're dealing with the loss of your baby, and then you're thrown into planning and making arrangements for a funeral to take place in less than a week's time by the time that the funeral service comes around. So give yourself that grace. And honestly, set the precedent that grace needs to be given from everyone around you that's helping. And however you decide to do that, but you definitely got to start with yourself. Give yourself grace. Expectations, don't set them. Just do the best you can. So because this is a very intense time, and everything is going to be interwoven or entwined with a lot of requests and demands of you and your attention, especially with the funeral home and starting those arrangements.
Tip number 2, support. Have a supportive family member or friend aside from your partner or spouse to help you be an extra set of eyes and ears, and at times someone that can also speak for you if needed.
Definitely.
A second set of ears can help you understand and keep track of the requests of the funeral home. A support person can also help to communicate your family's desires for your baby's burial or cremation arrangements. They can also be your communicator to your family and your friends.
The third tip that we have for everyone is to definitely lean on your funeral director and staff. They are the professionals.
Yes.
They're going to be able to handle more than you think, and they're very knowledgeable. So the funeral home staff is trained specifically in these different areas. So lean on them. Have them help you navigate through the process, especially all the different decisions that are going to be needed to be made. And again, this is a very stressful time, and it's a time of grieving. Like, you're grieving now. It doesn't begin and end at certain parts of the of losing your baby and that journey. That grief is already there. So the funeral staff are there to help you and guide you through this process. Just lean on them as much as you can.
Tip number 4, you set the tone. Funerals are often depicted as formal, somber, and a sad tradition, and rightly so, to respect the family. However, a lot has changed over the years, and families have chosen to break out of the mold and tradition and celebrate life. The nice thing is that you can set the tone of the service. You can set how you would like your baby to be remembered.
Yeah, totally. I'm just curious, are there any things in particular that stand out to you in the planning process for Olivia and how that process took place? Because I'm a bit of a blur when it comes to that time frame. And I know you had family that flew in and stuff, and your sisters. Tony has 3 other sisters, or 3 sisters. I'm just curious, what do you remember of the process, your process of even planning that? Because it's nothing you've ever had to plan for before.
Right. I honestly don't remember a whole lot of what happened that week, other than I know my family had flown in, my mom and my dad and my 3 sisters, and they were a big help as to arranging things, communicating with our other family with your family. I do remember saying like, okay, I want. We didn't have like a formal service either. Ours was more of a memorial service.
Yeah, I mean, it's also some people call it a. There's a memorial service and then there's a celebration of life. There you
Yes,
go.
and so
Our brains.
we didn't even have like chairs. Like we had tables. We had round
Right, we did
tables, and we
rounds.
had
Yeah.
people sitting around the tables. And
Yeah.
so I knew that it was more of an just like more casual
Yeah,
feel to what we
informal.
wanted. Yeah. And then I know that we wanted pink roses on each table, as well as obviously with not a lot of time to plan. We needed something that was simple, something that was quick, and something
Right.
that was affordable because we were doing a lot of it on our own financially. So just having obviously we had our pastor.
Mhm.
The main piece is the pastor, the venue, which was the church.
Right.
And we had one of the side rooms because it was a smaller gathering with just family. And
Olivia was cremated.
Yes.
So we didn't. I do remember this now that we're talking
Mhm.
about it. It's so ironic, but as we're talking about it, things are coming back. I do remember that the mortuary that we worked with, they were going to be as involved as we wanted them to be.
Mhm.
And honestly, with the fact that we were having Olivia cremated,
Mhm.
we just didn't have them heavily involved.
Right.
But they were there and they were standing by for
Mhm.
however involved we wanted them to be. I think if we had things different, if we had not done a cremation,
Mhm.
if we had done a casket and
Burial.
such, and a burial afterward, I think we would have had them way more involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
yeah.
just a total different environment when you don't have
Mhm.
the body, right?
Right.
It's just her cremation.
You have more flexibility.
Yeah.
In terms of time. We had a time crunch in terms of our family being in the area.
That is another nuance.
Yeah,
Is family coming
and
from out
so
of town.
they were only
Canada.
here for a certain time, and so we wanted to have that service while they were
Right.
here with us. So my sisters were a big help. I just remember communicating, okay, so I would like to have pink roses on each table. And I remember saying, I don't know if it was my idea or if it was one of my sisters, but having our family and friends we would have paper on the table and just have people write a message either to Olivia or just or to us as an encouragement, whatever they wanted. And that would be something that we could keep and put together.
Is that something you came up with?
I don't remember. It might have been. It might have been my idea, or it could have been like
which
my
I
sister's.
thought was really sweet, and we found that a few years ago. We came across those cards, and we read through them, and I don't remember reading them before.
No.
Honestly, a lot of that stuff just gets packed away. At least it was in our experience. I mean, we both went back. I mean, I went back to work. You were on maternity leave. A lot of it's a blur.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and bits and pieces I remember, but I just, I think I had kind of the gist of what I wanted, and the rest was kind of implemented
by family,
by our family
and
my sisters, and I knew that I wanted, certain music. So my oldest sister, plays piano and guitar, I had her play a lot of the songs that.
I think one thing that really stands out in the whole thing is it doesn't have to be perfect, right? And even us talking about this on the fly, because this isn't scripted, what we're talking about, it sounds very chaotic. At least it does in my ear, in my mind. When I'm hearing us talk about it, it seems like we're all over the place. And honestly, that's probably the way it happened, and that's the way we're conveying that our memories remember that. And there's just a lot of blurriness as far as remembering, a lot of numbness, and just going through the motions just to get through that week to get to the time. And Olivia's wasn't even cremated for the memorial. That happened
at that point.
3 days.
It was afterwards.
It was supposed to happen 3 days after. But anyhow, we hope in sharing that gives you a little perspective. I don't know how much perspective, but you know what? That's one thing that I've learned is that what's important is that we talk about it, right? What's important is we share our experience, it's to share our experience, not expecting that it's going to be a perfect answer or a perfect solution for whatever your questions are, or what you're dealing with, or what you might be struggling with. But we hope that something, at least one thing, in what we shared about in our memorial service, our celebration of life that we did for Olivia, strikes something within you. It's like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. Like I like that. And I hope that there's a takeaway from us sharing just a little bit about that. But good.
Cool.
Anything else?
No,
Nada?
I don't think so.
So, I mean, all this said, in this episode, we just want everyone to understand or to come away with that planning your baby's funeral can be overwhelming. It's going to be some aspect of it, at least at the minimum, is going to be overwhelming. However, it does give you and your family and friends an opportunity to mourn together, to start the process of that grief journey that honestly doesn't end till the day that we leave this earth. In some form or fashion or way, we're always going to be grieving the loss of our babies, and that's okay. That is normal. It's the normal process. So it's important that we show that love and support for each other, and also that love and support for our loved one, our baby, that is no longer here. It's such an extremely important part of the grief journey. We can't, stress that enough. So more than anything, we always want to leave you with this fact, that we hope that you found this episode helpful and that it met you where you're at. We want you to know that you are not alone, that you are loved, and that your baby will always be cherished. And Tony and I are here to help you guys out, to support you in any way that we can. So please, leave comments in the comment section below. Anything that you guys have questions about, get our contact information. It's all there. Contact us directly. We want you to know, truly, we are here for you, and our hearts are open to help you out.
If you got value out of this episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get alerts for when we post new content weekly. Doing this will also help get the word out on YouTube about this important resource for support.
Perfect.
If you liked what you saw in this video, click on the next video in this grief series here. You can also click on our weekly video podcast by clicking here.